So this doll is an old man, the figure of an old man. It was brought in Switzerland. The doll was wearing Swiss clothes and it was 12 inches long. A 12-inch long figure of an old man, that is the doll, dressed in traditional Swiss style, in the clothes the Swiss people wear. Apparently it was very lifelike. The doll looked like a real person. Although it was not mechanized, it was possible to bend and twist its limbs. The hands and legs of the doll could be turned this way and that way. Although there was no battery or it was not a mechanized toy. Its face had a smile on it, and on its head it wore a Swiss cap with a little yellow feather sticking out from it. Its clothes, especially in their little details, were perfect. Belt, buttons, pockets, collars, socks. There were even little buckles on the shoes. So the doll was perfectly dressed. The small in size, but all these things were there. His uncle had returned from Europe shortly before Jayanto left for Bundi with his parents. That is when he was 6 years. His uncle came back from Europe. The little old man had been bought in a village in Switzerland. The uncle bought this doll in a village in Switzerland. The man who sold him had jokingly said to Jayanto's uncle, he is called Fritz. That is the title of the story. You must call this doll Fritz. You must call him by this name. He won't respond to any other. It's a doll. It may not talk or anything, but you must still call the doll Fritz. That is the shopman told him. From there starts the mystery, the supernatural element, something which is a mystery which you cannot understand easily. Jayanto said, I had lots of toys when I was small. My parents gave me practically everything I wanted, perhaps because I was their only child. But once I got Fritz, I forgot all my other toys. I played only with him. Him is Fritz. A time came when I began to spend hours just talking to him. So he called him Fritz, and Jayanto, as a 6-year-old child, used to talk to this doll, this Fritz. Our conversation had to be one-sided, of course. One-sided means Jayanto did all the talking, Fritz kept silent because it is a doll. But Fritz had such a funny smile on his lips and such a look in his eyes that it seemed to me as though he could understand every word. Jayanto had a feeling that the doll understood everything that Jayanto was talking. Only Jayanto did all the talking. But to Jayanto, it appeared as if the doll was listening and understood also what he said. Sometimes I wondered if he would actually converse with me, if I could speak to him in German. So the thought came to Jayanto's mind that if he spoke in German, the doll might understand. Now it seems like a childish fantasy, imagination. But at that time, the whole thing was very real to me. After growing up, all this seems like imagination to him, not real. My parents did warn me not to overdo things, not to be too interested in the doll, too preoccupied with the doll. But I listened to no one. I had not yet been put in a school, so I had all the time in the world for Fritz. Jayanto spent all the time with his doll, talking to it. Jayanto fell silent. I looked at my watch and realized it was 9:30 p.m. It was very quiet outside. We were sitting in the drawing room of the circuit house. An oil lamp burnt in the room. I asked what happened to the doll. Jayanto was still deep in thought. He was thinking. His answer to my question came so late that by the time I had started to think that he had not heard me at all. Jayanto replied to this question very late. What happened to the doll? So he thought that he had not heard the question. I had brought it to Bundi. It was destroyed here. The doll was destroyed here in this place, Bundi. Destroyed? How? Jayanto sighed, felt sad when he remembered how the doll was destroyed. We were sitting out in the lawn having tea. I had kept the doll by my side on the grass. I was not really old enough to have tea, but I insisted. And in the process, while having tea, the cup tilted and some of the hot tea fell on my pants. I ran inside to change and came back to find that Fritz had disappeared. I looked around and found quite soon that a couple of stray dogs were having a nice tug of war with Fritz. The dogs were pulling at the doll. Tug of war is something like a vadamvali, two sides pulling on. Although he didn't actually come apart, his face was battered. The doll was not broken into two pieces or anything, but the face was completely destroyed. Battered means damaged beyond recognition. He could not even recognize the face of the doll. It was so much damaged, so much spoiled because of the dogs which were biting at it. And his clothes were torn. The doll's clothes were torn. In other words, Fritz did not exist for me anymore. He was dead. Notice Jayanto is speaking of the doll as a human being. Fritz was not alive for him. Fritz was dead for him. And then Jayanto's story intrigued me. Now Shankar is interested. He's puzzled. He's interested in the story. What could possibly happen after that? I arranged his funeral. That is all. So Jayanto is saying he arranged his funeral. Meaning, I buried him under that deodar tree. That is why the remembrance of that deodar tree brought other memories to his mind. I had wanted to make a coffin. Coffin is the thing on which a dead body is placed. Fritz was after all a European. But I could find nothing, not even a little box. He could not find even a box to represent a coffin. So in the end, I buried him just like that. He buried the doll under the deodar tree. At last, the mystery of the deodar tree was solved. Now Shankar understood why Jayanto was referring to the deodar tree. We went to bed at around 10. Our room was a large one and our beds had been neatly made. Not being used to doing a lot of walking, I was feeling rather tired after the day's activities. They had wandered around in the garden, so Shankar was tired. Besides, the bed was very comfortable. I fell asleep barely 10 minutes after hitting the pillow. 10 minutes after the head touched the pillow, he slept. Because he was tired and the bed was comfortable. A slight noise woke me a little later. I turned on my side and found Jayanto sitting up on his bed. The table lamp by the bed was switched on, and in its light, it was easy to see the look of anxiety on his face. Jayanto was very worried, depressed, anxious. I asked, "What is it? Are you not feeling well?" Instead of answering in my question, Jayanto asked me one himself. Instead of replying to the question, Jayanto asked Shankar another question. Do you think the circuit house has got small animals? I mean things like cats or mice? I shouldn't be surprised if it does. Why? Something walked over my chest. That is what woke me up. Jayanta was saying while he was sleeping, something walked over on his chest. Must be rats and mice. Rats and mice usually come in through the drain, but I have never known them to climb on the bed. They might be present in the drain, but they do not usually climb on beds. That is rats and mice. This is the second time I have woken up actually. Jayanta was saying this is the second time I woke up in the night. The first time I heard a shuffling noise near the window. Shuffling as if somebody is walking, trying to come inside through the window. Oh, if it was near the window, it is more likely to be a cat. Yes, but Jayanta still sounded doubtful. I said, didn't you see anything after you switched the light on? Nothing. But then I didn't switch it on immediately after opening my eyes. To tell you the truth, I felt rather scared at first. But when I did switch it on, there was nothing to be seen. Jayanta felt something walking on his chest. He was frightened to switch on the light. So after switching on, there was nothing. That means whatever came in must still be in the room. So whatever climbed on his chest and walked on his chest must be still in the room. Well, since both the doors are bolted from inside, both the doors are bolted, locked from inside, I rose quickly and searched under the bed, behind our suitcase, everywhere else in the room. I could not find anything. Shankar searched for this mysterious thing. The door to the bathroom was closed. I opened it and was about to start another search when Jayanta called out to me softly, Shankar. I came back to the room. Jayanta was staring hard at the cover of his quilt. Quilt is a blanket, a thick covering. Upon seeing me, he pulled a portion of it near the lamp and said, look at this. That is on the quilt. I bent over the cloth and saw tiny brown circular marks on it. I said, well, these could have been made by a cat. There were marks on the quilt. Jayanta did not say anything. It was obvious that something had deeply disturbed him. But it was 2:30 in the morning. I simply had to get a little more sleep, or I knew I would just keep feeling tired. Shankar wanted to sleep, otherwise he will feel tired in the morning. And we had plans of doing a lot of sightseeing the following day. So, after murmuring a few soothing words such as, don't worry, Shankar is telling Jayanta, don't worry, I am here with you. And who knows, those marks might have been on your quilt already when you went to bed. I switched off the light once more and lay down. I had no doubt that Jayanta had only had a bad dream.